Today I'm again here, Aditi, with one more lesson of NCERT, An Alien Hand, that is Bringing Up Kari of grade 7. Bringing Up Kari is a narrative descriptive of a lesson in which a small elephant, a baby elephant, has grown along with his master and they have developed a strong sense of friendship. So this lesson is about an elephant, Kari, and today we are going to read the lesson, get the explanation of it along with the word meanings and the exercises at the end. So let us begin with the lesson today. Bringing Up Kari is written by Dhan Gopal Mukherjee. He is a writer. Dhan Gopal Mukherjee was born in West Bengal and he has received John Newbery Medal, and he had his education from the University of California, Berkeley. So this was the little information about the writer Dhan Gopal Mukherjee. So let us begin with our lesson today. Kari, a 5-month-old baby elephant, lives and grows up with his 9-year-old friend and keeper. So I am going to read out few facts that we are going to cover in first part of the lesson. And these are the points on which we will be discussing the lesson. Kari doesn't eat much, just about 16 kilograms of delicious twigs a day. Playful and sensitive, Kari saves a boy from drowning. So these are few of the points that we are going to cover up in part 1. And before going for the explanation, let us go through the word meanings that we come across throughout the lesson. Squeal. Squeal means cry or trumpet. Squeal with pleasure. Kari, squeal with pleasure. So it is the sound that the elephant makes. Luscious. Luscious means tasty and sweet smelling. Very delicious. Here luscious, twigs that Kari likes. Hashy. Small axe, which is basically used to cut down small twigs. Mutilated. Mutilated means torn awkwardly or disfigured, broken from between. Ponderous. Ponderous means clumsy, slow, heavy and awkward. So these all are the adjectives which are used for Kari. Darted down. It means to move quickly or suddenly. Lasso means rope with a noose at the end, so that it can be held and person can save themselves. Pavilion means shelter. Astonishment means surprised. So these are few of the word meanings related to the lesson that we are going to come across. So let us begin with our class. Kari the elephant was 5 months old when he was given to me to take care of. So Kari the elephant was only 5 months old when he had come to the narrator, and the narrator and the author that time was only 9 years old. And I could reach his back if I stood on tiptoe. So here I refers to the author. So author says that I was only 9 years old when Kari came to the home and I had to stand on my tiptoe to reach to its back. He seemed to remain that high for nearly 2 years. So for 2 years we kept on growing at the same pace, but then later on he became taller and wider and huge. We grew together and developed the bond of friendship. That is probably why I never found out just how tall he was. As both of them grew together, the narrator could not make out that how tall Kari was becoming day by day. He lived in a pavilion. Pavilion means the shelter, which is made up of bamboo sticks and the thatched roof. So he lived in a pavilion under a thatched roof which rested on the thick tree stumps so as that it could not fall in when Kari bumped against the poles as he moved about. So it was open from all the sides so that he can get into the shelter from any place. Even if it is hitting the bamboo stick, it will not fall down. So that was the pavilion made for Kari. Then let us go to the next slide. Every day I used to take him on to the river in the morning for his bath. So every day, this is the everyday routine they used to follow. Kari used to follow his master to the river, and there they used to take bath. He would lie down on the sand bank while I rubbed him with the clean sand of the river for an hour. So on the bank, the sand was rubbed on Kari's body by the author for an hour. After that, he would lie in the water for a long time, and then after he used to take bath in the water and used to enjoy himself. On coming out of his skin would be shining like ebony. Ebony is a tall tree which is generally found in the hilly areas, and the leaves of the tree seems to be black and shining. So the skin of Kari looks very shiny the moment he comes out of the water after taking bath, and he would squeal with pleasure. So while taking bath, he used to squeal. Squeal means he used to enjoy himself. He used to trumpet and cry with pleasure in the water. And then, just a minute. Then I would take him by the ear, because that is the easiest way to lead an elephant. So the narrator cannot push him or cannot ask him to come forward because it's just a baby elephant and he has not been trained. So the narrator used to hold his ear and used to drag him. So this was the signal of coming out to the shore, on the bank of the river rather. And leave him on the edge of the jungle while I went into the forest to get some luscious, soft, delicious twigs for his dinner. So after taking bath, they used to come to the river bank, and Kari was left on the edge of the jungle while the narrator used to go inside the forest to get the delicious twigs. One has to have a very sharp hatchet to cut down these twigs. So the hatchet should be the small X, the knife, which is it has to be very sharp so that it could cut down the twigs. It takes half an hour to sharpen the hatchet, because if a twig is mutilated means broken or disfigured, an elephant will not touch it. If it is broken from in between, Kari will not touch it. So Kari likes only complete full twig, and which is directly taken out, or a fresh twig which narrator used to cut every day. But one day something unusual happened. And what has happened? Let us find out. One spring day in March, when I suddenly heard Kari calling me to a distance. In the distance, as he was still very young, the call was more like that of a baby than that of an elephant. So one spring morning, something unusual had happened. And what is that? I heard Kari calling me. He was trumpeting very loudly from a distance, and he was still very young. So it was a baby elephant. Maybe something must be troubling the elephant. That is why it was trumpeting. So narrator could make out that there is something wrong with Kari. That is why it is making sound like this. The call was more like that of a baby than that of an elephant. So it's a small baby, and accordingly he was calling. Then the narrator went to him, and he found. I came down from my tree and ran fast to the edge of the forest where I had left him. But he was not there. So the narrator quickly came down from the tree and he went to the place where he left Kari. But he was not there, so he was scared, frightened that where is my friend? Where had it gone? Has somebody caught him? Or is there any poacher, somebody there who had troubled him? So he was little worried because Kari was still a baby elephant. Now, I looked all over, but I could not find him. I went near the edge of the water and I saw a black something struggling above its surface. So the narrator went near to the water and he could find that something on the surface is struggling. Something black is struggling in the water. On the surface it could be seen. Then it rose higher and it was the trunk of my elephant. So I could find the trunk of the elephant struggling in the water. So the first thought that came to the author's mind was that Kari is drowning in. I was helpless because I could not jump into the water and save 400 pounds of him since he was much heavier than I. So he was wondering that what to do. I cannot help him. I cannot drag that 400 pounds since he is heavier and higher than me. So he was wondering how to save him. And this is what was happening. And suddenly Kari once pushed him into the stream and the author fell into the water. The moment he fell into the water, he had gone down and saw somebody there in the water. And what is that? Let us find out. I saw a boy lying flat on the bottom of the river. He had not altogether touched the bottom, but he was somehow floating. I came to the surface of the water to take my breath, and there Kari was standing, his feet planted in the sandbank and his trunk stretched out like a hand waiting for mine. So here narrator could make out that Kari wished to save the boy. That is why he was pushed in. The narrator saw a boy lying flat on the surface of the water, though he was actually not touching the surface, he was actually floating. So I came to the surface, to the water to take breath along with the boy in one of my hand, and there was Kari standing and his feet planted in the sandbank. Planted means he was standing firmly. Firmly he was standing so that he could help the narrator and the boy to come out. Then, and his trunk stretched out like a hand waiting for mine. So I could see Kari was standing there firmly, and I could make out that he was there for me and waiting for me to come out. So this is how Kari saved the life of the boy and the narrator, and he pulled both the author and the boy to the shore. So that was part 1. Let us move forward to part 2. These are the points that we are going to cover. Kari becomes fond of ripe bananas. He believes in self-help, much to the discomfort of his friend. With quiet dignity, Kari accepts the chiding he knows he deserves. So, this way, Kari was a small baby, but then he has started to become naughty. And what all activities he used to do, let us find out. Kari was like a baby, and like a baby, he had to be told when he was naughty. He had developed a taste for banana, and then thereafter he started stealing it. So Let us find out how he does. One day, somebody gave him some bananas to eat. Very soon, he developed a great love for ripe bananas, ripe sweet bananas. We used to keep large plates of fruit on the table near a window in the dining room. One day, all the bananas on that table disappeared, vanished, and my family blamed the servants for eating all the fruit in the house. So one day, the bananas were stolen and all the blame went to the servants. So the servants were blamed for eating all the fruits in the house. Then, few days later, the fruit disappeared again, and this time the blame was put on me. Me here refers to the narrator. And I knew I had not done it. The next time the fruit disappeared, I found a banana all smashed up in Kari's pavilion. So the next time the fruit disappeared, all the blame came to the author. But I knew that I did not do anything. It was somebody. But when I reached to Kari's shelter and pavilion, I was much surprised, for I had never seen fruit there, and as you know, he had always lived on twigs. Kari liked only twigs. So this was an unusual thing that had happened. Next day, while I was sitting in the dining room, wondering whether I should take some fruit for my parents' permission, then suddenly a long black thing, very much like a snake, suddenly came through the window and disappeared with all the bananas. So, before eating anything, the author wished to take permission from the parents because he was blamed for the stolen fruits. Suddenly, he saw something coming from the window, a black thing like a snake, and disappeared with all the bananas. So, the thing that came from the window held the bananas and then it vanished. I was very much frightened because I had never seen snakes eat bananas. So the author says that I had never seen the snakes eating bananas, and this time it was something very unusual happening. And I thought it must be a terrible snake, a huge giant snake that would sneak, peep or come in secretly and take the fruit. So the author was a little scared. As I went out, I saw Kari's bag disappearing in the direction of the pavilion. So when he came out to see what was that, so he saw Kari's bag disappearing in the direction of the pavilion, and I was so frightened that I wanted his company to cheer me up. So the author says that I was little frightened about it because I saw a huge snake thing coming to my window. So I wanted my friend's company. I wanted Kari's company to cheer me up, to make me happy. I ran after him into the pavilion and I found him there eating bananas. So when I went to the pavilion, his shelter, I found Kari was eating bananas. I stood still in astonishment. So I was surprised to see that how Kari has developed the taste for bananas, and all the bananas were lying strewn up, smashed up all around him. So it was no one else but Kari who had secretly taken away the bananas, and the blame had come upon the narrator and the servant. Then the next slide, let us go. Then I scolded him for elephants understand words as well as children. And I said to him. So the narrator said that I scolded him. And the elephants understand word to word I told him, the way children also understand. Next time I see you stealing fruit, you will be whipped. So I told him very firmly that next time if you do the same, you will be beaten up. He knew that we were all angry with him, even the servants, because they were blamed for it. His pride was so injured that he never stole another thing from the dining room. So Kari took a lesson. He understood that if again such a thing had happened, he would be beaten up and the people in the house will get angry with him. So he had never done it again. Then as Kari was a baby, so like a baby, he was a quick learner. So he understood what was being told to him and he never committed such a mistake again. Now let us move to the third and the last part of the lesson. Kari is a fast learner. He masters all signals and sounds he is taught. There is one lesson though that an elephant takes 5 years to learn, and Kari is no exception. He also took some time to learn the signal. So Kari is a quick learner. Kari learned lots of instructions and the commands that an elephant should learn. So let us read and find out. An elephant must be taught when to sit down, when to walk, when to go fast and when to go slow. You teach him these things as you teach a child. If you say that and pull him by the ear, he'll gradually learn to sit down. So the command that means and pulling by the ear, and you say that the elephant learn to sit down. Similarly, if you say Mali and pull his trunk forward, he will gradually learn that it is the signal to walk. So the signal to sit down is that, and signal to move forward is Mali. But the most difficult thing to teach an elephant is the master call. He generally takes 5 years to learn it properly. But this call is generally meant for the masters. If an elephant learns it, he is always there for the master to protect him. The teaching of the master call to an elephant is a difficult thing. An elephant generally takes 5 years to learn, and yet it is the most important signal for an elephant to learn. And what is master call basically? The master call is a strange hissing and howling sound, as if a snake and a tiger were fighting each other. And you have to make that kind of a noise in his ear so that he is little alarmed and he protects the master. After listening to the hissing and howling sound, the elephant pulls down the next tree and the next and the next, and soon you will find that he has made a road right through the jungle straight to your house. So the moment he hears a master call, and if you are lost in the jungle somewhere, the elephant is there to protect you. He'll make the way after removing all the trees from your path and make a passage to your home. So this is called master call. So because it helps an elephant to save master's life. So that is why it's an important command. Then after, a trained elephant understands it and it once pull out the tree in front, and the animals which are there in the forest, they also get frightened, and they move from one place to the another, and they vanish in the jungle. So this frightens all the animals away. Even the tiger gets frightened. The elephant goes on pulling down the trees one after the other, and thus the path is made. So this is how the elephant makes the way to the house. So this is the explanation of the lesson, and now we are going to discuss few questions related to the lesson. I'll give you few seconds time to kindly go through it, and then we'll discuss the answers one by one. So let us go through the questions and answers. The enclosure in which Kari lived had a thatched roof that lay on thick tree stumps. Why it was built that way? The answer is, Kari's pavilion was built under a thatched roof having its support on the thick tree trunk. The support was so necessary to save the roof from falling down when he moved about and bumped against the bamboo poles. So that is why it was made in such a way so that he can get into the shelter from any direction. Next question. Did Kari enjoy his morning bath in the river? Give a reason for your answer. Yes, Kari loved to be taken to the river for his bath. He lay down on the sand bank. The narrator rubbed his body with clean sand. Then he washed his body with water. He used to make sounds joyfully. So Kari enjoyed his bath every day. Finding good twigs for Kari took a long time. Why? The narrator had to work hard to gather soft new twigs for Kari. He had to climb all kinds of trees. If the twigs were deformed, Kari refused to eat them. So the narrator had to be very careful while selecting the twigs and cutting it, because if it gets mutilated, Kari will not touch it. So these are few questions. Let us go to the next slide. Why did Kari push his friend, that is the narrator, into the stream? Stream means the river. Kari pushed his friend into the stream because a boy was drowning in the water. Kari himself could not save and carry the boy to the shore. So that is why he took his friend's help, narrator's help, to drag him out from the water. Next question. Kari was like a baby. What are the main points of comparison? The answer is, Kari was like a human baby. He had to be taught a few lessons to become good. Like a baby, he too played some mischief. He used to steal away the fruits from dining table. So this is one of the aspects that I have written. You may add the point that he enjoyed taking bath in the river. He enjoyed rubbing of the sand on his body by the narrator. He used to squeal with pleasure. So these points can also be added. Next question. Kari helped himself to all the bananas in the house without anyone noticing it. How did he do it? The answer is, Kari was a mischievous but intelligent creature. He started taking away the bananas kept on the dining table. He used his black long trunk to steal fruits through the window. Next question. Kari learned the commands to sit and to walk. What were the instructions for each command? The answer is, Kari learned the commands to sit down or stand up and walk fast or slow. The word dhat was the command to sit down. The word mali was the command to walk. And master call is the command which was given to Kari in order to protect or save the master. So that can also be added here. Let us go to the last slide. What is the master call? Why is it important? Signal for an elephant to learn. The master call was a strange kind of hissing like a snake and howling like a tiger. It sounded like a fight between a snake and a tiger. The sound had to be made in the elephant's ear. It was a necessary signal for Kari to uproot trees and make a passage through the dense forest for the house. So with the help of master call, generally the elephant protects his master. So this is the end of the lesson, and I hope the lesson Bringing Up Kari will help you to understand the concept and comprehend the lesson, and I hope it will be very helpful for you. Thank you.